has these forest fires that kind of rage through our lives, sometimes expected, sometimes not, sometimes out of the blue, sometimes we can see them coming way far down the road. But regardless, we all have these forest fires that just kind of burn everything up for a period of time and feel really, really challenging. And we all have that. And certainly our hearts go out to those of you who might be wrestling with that today. That is constantly a really hard part of the human experience. And it helps sometimes to take a step back and just to remember this idea about what happens after the fire. After the fire. So much of life we get so caught in the moment that we forget that life is not a still shot. It's not like a photograph. It's a movie, and a movie is made up of a bunch of photographs. And it's easy when fires go through, when we really face the challenges of life, to think that life's going to be frozen in that moment forever. And it really isn't. I mean, there's going to be some changes. There's going to be heartbreak. There's going to be all these things. And there's also through all that going to be change. And it's not that all changes or all disasters are redemptive. I never would want to say that. I've learned that is just not the case. But I would say the majority of them are. There's a lot of challenges we go through in life, many challenges, and they do have this growth to them. And so I want to read for you a passage here out of the book Secrets of Heaven, 2910. And this is talking about, when churches shift, when they kind of come to an end. And think of a church in our heart. And I think there's also some institutional truth to this too. When a church reaches its end and dies, the Lord raises up a new one somewhere. Rarely, if ever, does it happen among those from the previous religion, but among the Gentiles outside it who knew nothing about it. And it's an interesting concept, that idea that God, and that's what happens after the fire, that there's always this growth. There's always this birth of something new. Now we don't see it in the smoldering ruins of what happens right after fire. We never do. But it's amazing to go back like a year later and start to see, that the force of life is still there. There's still trees coming up through the sidewalks. I saw a little thing on the California fires, and they were talking about all these people that I guess are very popular, have rose gardens, and all these roses starting to take over these neighborhoods and these houses. I think that's such a reminder about, within the ashes, something does start to grow. That idea of a phoenix that starts to grow up and starts to make a shift out there into the world. So that's what we want to be thinking about, friends, is how does that work? How does that shift? How is that different? How do these things, how do these things become the way that they are? And so, as we're looking at that, I think it's one of the hard parts to remember too. I know with church, for me, I definitely can see this. Boy, have things changed a lot. Again, I grew up with a very traditional church. It's something my grandparents had gone to, same church my great-grandparents had gone to, same church my parents were married in. Like, it was our church, and we had our pew, and there was a certain way to do everything, and it was very comforting growing up within that. And now we're within an era where none of that is true, where just think about New Church Live, like that old model has really gone, and you can still see vestiges of it. There are still, thankfully, some congregations who are able to pull that off and have healthy congregations. But the majority of churches that were like that no longer can function that way. They have to have had, like we have had at New Church Live, to really focus more on the online audience, more of an acknowledgement that people they'll watch church services any time of the day or week. It's not uncommon to see commentary on a Tuesday night about a church service on Sunday. In fact, very common. So friends, it's this idea, right, that again, these things that we really love and cherish, and we're both talking relationally, institutionally, all kinds of things, that they really do have their day. And at the end of the day, a season will close. But what we need to remember is that in God's grace, there's always these seeds that were planted that we know nothing about. And we won't see it right in that moment, especially when we're just feeling the loss of it. But we will, if we're patient and we just allow there to be time, we will start to see new growth and transformation. Again, I don't want to make it sound too sort of Pollyannish, because there certainly are some challenges where I feel like it feels like there's nothing but smoldering ruins for a long time. Totally get that. And there's still this beautiful process, this beautiful pulling of God that always pulls this direction. It always pulls to life. And how good is that? So that's the thought for today, friends. I hope that makes sense. And what we're going to do now we're going to shift gears. And we're going to do a little prayer, a little blessing, and then we'll say hi to folks who've joined us on Facebook. So with that, dear friends, let's get a little breath and the prayer bell. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know that. Be still and. Be still. Be. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you, bring you peace, and bring you home. Amen. All right, dear friends, let's sneak over here onto Facebook. And I saw someone just texted me that we may have missed a little streaming thing here today. We shall find out in a second. And if so, my apologies. We will not take comments, but what we certainly will do what we certainly will do will be to make sure that you get a chance to, make sure that we send this on if it did not get over to there. All right. Come on, Nelly. Oh my goodness, these computers drive me crazy sometimes. All right. Come on. Oh, it did go through. All right, good. Good. So let me flip to a page here. All right, I hope everyone had a wonderful weekend. I hope you have a great weekend ahead. Okay, that's what happened. Did not go onto my page, but we will share it onto my Facebook page. And in the meantime, friends, just wishing you all the very best. God